Okay, good afternoon. Welcome back to our lecture. So, because of the ECQ and MECQ, we cannot do synchronous class. For that reason, to help you guys with our lecture, although you have all the necessary lectures or the modules, I am going to do recording for certain topics. So, for those of you who are not my students, the idea is that we have finished discuss Module 1 to Module 5 of Python Fundamentals. It was keep unlisted on my private channel on my channel unlisted, so as to keep the security or the identity of my student secure. So these topics or some of the topics from this point onwards, it's going to be public. If there will be time, I'm going to redo module 1 to module 5, so as you will have the full module of our Python fundamentals. Okay, so before anything else, this goes to everyone. Please don't forget to subscribe and to hit that notification bell for you to be able to keep updated, especially for those who are not my students, so that you will be updated when there is new lectures for our Python fundamentals. Okay, so we'll stop last meeting with our topic, and that is dictionaries. I believe, if my memory serves me right, prior to dictionaries, we have the conditionals wherein we discuss the for loops. Okay, for this module, or module number 6, we are going to discuss the while loops. Basically, while loops is similar to for loops. What's the difference? Later, we are going to discuss. Okay, so in this module or unit, we are going to learn another mechanism to control the flow of our programs, which is the while loop. So again, as what I have said, while loops are similar to for loops except that they run a specific condition until it is true or while it is true. So in this particular topic or module, we are going to learn how to implement the while loops. We are going to use the active flag variables to control while loops, perform modulo division. We are going to take advantage of the break and continue statements so that we can alter the flow of the while loop. Use empty or populated lists or dictionaries as Boolean values. As you can see, it's very important that you understand the topics of dictionaries. We are going to use the bool function to convert values to their Boolean equivalent. Nest while loops for more complex control flows. Siyempre, hindi lang naman pwedeng basic. So we're going to nest for more complex control flow. And then we're going to do the time library to time process in our program. This is basically, what do you call this? An introduction to your subject data structure, wherein the runtime of the program is of the essence. So I'm going to give you some idea for those of you who are going to be my students next semester. Okay, so data types, there's no new data types that we're going to study. Basically, we have finished all of this. Control flow, for today we are going to study while loops. You know the drill. Operators, we are going to add the modulo division or the percent or the mod to our list of operators. For the built-in function, we are going to study or discuss the bool function or the Boolean function. For the methods, we are going to use the split or the dot split method for our strings. The significance will be discussed later. And for our scanner libraries, again, as what I have said, we are going to discuss the time. And then at the end of the topic or the discussion, we're going to have 3 code labs or code activity for this topic to test your understanding of what I have discussed or what you have downloaded from your respective LMS. So moving on or continuing for our discussion, what again is for loop? If you guys have any idea, if you can still remember, the idea is that for loops we are using for loops if we are to run, or let's say running a set of number of times, something like that. Whereas for the while loops, running until a certain condition is met. So that's the significant difference of the two. When we know how many times do we have to run a certain code, then we are to use the for loops. But if we have to run this certain or part of code until a certain condition is met, then we have to use the while loop. So basically that's the difference. Let me fix this one by doing this. There you go. So for example, if we have to, let's say, output the numbers 1 to 10 using for loops, how are we going to do it? We are going to do it by doing or by typing for I for our counter in range, let's say 0 to 10. If we do 0 to 10, wait, let me finish first. Print I, and then current num plus equals 1. There you go. So if we are to do this way, the idea is that you're going to have what? Output. Anybody? As if I do have some students on my class, right? Anyway, the output will be 0 to 10. Oh, sorry. Perhaps we should delete that. There you go. Okay. So for I in range 0 to 10, print I. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the idea is that we have printed this is our start and this is up to, but do not include the number 10. So in this particular case, what we have done is that we printed from 0 up to 9 because up to 10 but do not include this one. So that will be 9. If we have to fix this, the idea will be to change this one to 11. And again, the problem states that we are going to print the numbers 1 to 10. So if you do this again, there you go, 0 to 10. If you remove the initial value, still the same, 0 to 10. So we have to do it this way. The idea is that, let's say 0, 1, comma 11, something like that. Okay? If you do this, there you go, much better. We have numbers 1 to 10. Now, this is where I should declare the current num. If we have to do this, the while loop way, the idea is or will be current num is equal to 1 while current num is less than or equal to 10, then put a colon. So just like the for loop, we have to end this line with a colon. And then print current num. And if we have to run this, if you are to run this, what do you think will happen? Anybody? It will be an infinite loop. So we have to press stop to stop it. So we have to increment. The idea is, or what happens in here is that our initial value of the current num variable is equal to 1. While current number, which is equal to 1, is less than or equal to 10, and that gives us a true value, then we have to print the current num. What is the value of the current num? That is 1. And then 1 is printed. Afterwards, we are going to reiterate or do the iteration of the loop. Our num is still 1, so we are to print 1 again and then infinite loop. So if we have to get out of this loop, then we have to increment the value of current num. How are we going to do that? We can do that by doing current num plus equals 1. If you have to run this, there you go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How did this happen? First, our initial value of the current num is equal to 1. So what happened is that 1 is less than or equal to 10, that is true. So print current num, that is 1, and then increment current num by 1. So 1 plus 1, that will give you 2, and then is 2 less than or equal to 10, that is also true. So print again, increment 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Is 10 less than or equal to 10? True, because 10 equals 10. That will give you a true statement or a true value. So print 10 and then increment. Our current num will become now 11. Is 11 less than or equal to 10, that will give you a false statement. So therefore, you will be now, that the loop will now be terminated. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Okay, now, so you might notice, sir, why do we need to study while loop? For loop is much easier to understand as compared to while loop, right? Actually, when I was a student, there were certain things wherein I am forcing the program to use for loop. Sir, why? I do not use while loop. Why? I do not know how to use while loop because our teacher did not taught us that. So, up to a certain degree, I'm doing all my programs using the for loop, but then again, there will be cases wherein for loop will not be applicable. Okay, so what are those given cases? Remember guys, that the for loop is very useful if we know how many times the iteration will take place. But if you do not know how many times the iteration will take place or should take place, then the idea is that you should use while loop. Okay, let's have an example. So let's initiate or initialize our value to current num is equal to 1, while true, print current num. What's the value of our current num? That is equal to 1. And then we have to increment current num plus equals 1. Choice is equal to, let's ask the user for an input. Press any key to print the next number or Q to quit. Let's put some space and then let's do that lower. If choice equals double equal sign is for what? For testing of the equality. If choice equals Q, then colon, break. So let's try this one. Press any key to print the number or Q to quit. So while I press any key, for example, I'm pressing the enter key, it is going to continue what you call this, printing or incrementing the number and then print it out. So no matter what key I press. But once I press the Q, then the idea will be, the program will be terminated. So as you can see, this particular case or this particular example cannot be applicable to the for loop. Why? Because we do not know how many times we should loop our code. The thing is, it is dependent on the user. Until such time that the user press Q, then you have to run again the loop or iterate again the loop. So in this particular case, we cannot use for loop, but rather while loop will be very much handy or applicable. I hope that clears the difference or the significant difference between the for loop and then the while loop. Now moving on, we are going to introduce the modulo division. So what's the modulo division? At this point of time, I think you know what modulo division is, or the modulus, or sometimes they call it the mod. So the modulo operation returns the remainder or sign remainder of a division after one number is divided by another. It is being called the modulus of the operation. Do you understand this one, guys? Sir, hindi po kasi English. Okay, edi wow. Sir, math nga po, nahihirapan kami, English pa. Edi wow. Okay, anyway, let's have some example. 4 divided by 2, this will give you what? 2. Normal division, right? But if you take, for example, 4 modulo or mod 2, what will be the answer? If we have to do it this way, 4 divided by 2, 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2. 2 times 2 is equal to 4. 4 minus 4 is equal to 0. So 2 remainder 0 or simply 0. Then the answer for 4 mod 2 is the remainder, which is 0. So basically, that's it. I hope this clears this matter. My apologies, I do not have graphic tablet. Looking for sponsors. Hopefully, one of my beloved alumni or alumnus will sponsor my graphic tablet. So this will be 0, right? Let's have another example. For example, if you have 8 divided by 5, this will give you what? How many? Calling all mathematician. Let's see if you can do this mentally. Okay. So I'm going to open my calculator. 8 divided by 5. Before I press enter, I think it's something 1.6 xxxxx. Let's see. There you go, 1.6 only. Oh my goodness. But if we have to do, let's say 8 mod 5, what will be the answer? So again, it will be 8 divided by 5. That will be 1. 1 times 5 is equal to 5. 8 minus 5 is equal to 3. Therefore, 1 remainder 3. So the answer for this one will be 3. Got it? Oh my goodness. Let me fix this one so that when I upload it, it will be perfect. There you go. So there you have it. Modulus division. Okay. Now, let's do it in Python. So remember guys, this one is in Markdown so that you can do some notes. And then this one is in code for those who are not familiar with Jupyter Notebook. Okay. Anyway, print 4 divided by 2. And then we have to print, let's say, 4 modulo 2 or 4 mod 2. The answer will be, as expected, it should be 2 and 0, right? There you go. So 2 and 0. Next, how about this one? Print 8, 5, 8, 5. So the answer should be 1.6 and 3. 1.6 and 3. And then let's have another example. One last example. Print 10 modulo 4. The answer will be, the quotient will be 2, the remainder will be 2. So therefore the remainder or the modulo will be 2. So I hope this one is very easy, itsy bitsy peanuts, right? Now, one of the applications that I can think of wherein we can use the mod or the modulo division will be testing or getting if the number is even or odd. So, if we have to create a program, let's say output the number 1 to 10 and determine if it is even or odd, how are we going to do it? Using modulo division and of course using the while loop. No, not for loop, although we know how many times we should iterate this one. But again, for the topic itself, we are using the while loop. Okay? I hope that settles it. So, current num is equal to 1. We have to initialize our variable. While current num is less than or equal to 10, do this one, if and then else. So if current num modulo 2 is equal to 0, if the modulo or the remainder is 0, then what? If you mod it using by 2, then basically this should be even, right? So print string current num plus double quote is even. Else print string current num, let's concatenate it, is add. And then our value of current num is equal to 1. For you to be able to increment it, to be able to have 1 to 10, then you have to increment it. How are you going to increment it? Itchy pitchy. Current num plus equals 1. Hopefully this should do it. There you go. 1 is odd, 2 is even, 3 is odd, 4 is even, 5 is odd, 6 is even, 7 odd, 8 even. And then that settles our program or our code for this particular topic. I hope that you understand this particular part, and then so that we can move to our next topic, which is the break statement. Alright, now let's take another look, or let's have another look with the modules operator, and let's introduce a new concept with while loops. So we can run a while loop instead of just using a boolean condition, wherein we can check like a value of a number while we are running the while loop, something called the flag. So what is a flag? A flag is an active variable or an active boolean variable that's either going to be true or false. So it will be used to kind of flag to indicate, our flag will be used to indicate when to stop or start a while loop. So basically flags allow us to kind of begin or end the while loop just by altering the state of the flag. Do you understand it? English? Okay, good. Tagalogin ko ba? Kaya nyo yan. Para mas madali natin makaya. Example na lang. So, sabi nga nila, nasusulat, basa. Ito naman po, sample. Not a talent show. Okay? So, we are going to create a program. Let's say, let me check. Let's reinitialize the current num. Okay, current num, we're going to use it again. So, 1. So, let's create a value, or let's say flag. But then again, flag is equal to true as stated. We can have the value of a flag true or false depending on our condition. But since I'm going to play, so let me rename my flag to playing. Okay. So, play is equal to true. Remember guys, our playing is our flag. There you go. So while playing, if current num modulo or mod 3 is equal to 0, meaning it is divisible by 3. So if it's divisible by 3, basically our, sorry my mannerism, the word basically, our print will be a string of the current num, and then plus concatenate it is divisible by 3. Else print, if it's not divisible by 3, what do you think should be the message? Pinag-iisipan pa ba yan? Current num plus is not divisible by 3. There you go. And then we're going to ask the user if the user wants to continue or not. So choice is equal to input, enter n to stop, or press enter to continue. If choice dot lower is equal to n, let's redefine our flag, which is playing, to false, or let's set the value of our flag to false. And then we're going to alter our variable, the current num, by 1. And then print current num, print quitting. Okay, so what we have here is we have initialized our variable, which is equal to 1. Current num is equal to 1. We've initialized our flag playing to set to true. And while true, basically this is while true. So while true, if current num is, or current num modulo 3, 1 mod 3 is equal to 0, is it equal to 0? No. So else, it is not divisible by 3. The user press any key, and then it will be, the loop will be reiterated, or you are going to rerun the loop. Current num will be incremented by 1. So true is 2 mod 3 equal to 0, no again, and then it's not divisible by 3, and so on and so forth. And then until such time the user press N. If the user press N, the idea will be the flag will be set to false and then quitting. Because if you set the flag to false, what will happen is that while playing, you cannot run this loop because our playing is now equals to false. So you cannot play it. Okay, so while false, you cannot do that, then you are going to quit. So let's test it. Enter N to stop or press enter to continue. I'm going to press enter. So 1 is not divisible by 3, 2 is not divisible by 3, 3 is not divisible, 3 is divisible by 3, 4 is not divisible by 3, 5 is not divisible by 3. But if you press N, what will happen is, after I press N, then it quit. The program is terminated. But take a closer look. What happened is that we have printed the current value, which is 6. Remember, right after, the last value is 5, right? But when you press N, the playing is equal to false. But then again, the current num plus equals to 1. So our last value of 5 is incremented to 6. And then when you print the current num, then what happens is that it is now 6. How are we going to fix this one? Oh, this should be a recitation if this is an synchronous class. Let me copy the code. So how are we going to fix this one? Dun, 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 dun. Perhaps let's try this one. Let's put a break. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you press N. What happened is that it quit. Right? Okay, so what happened is that, what? It's still the same. Oh, the dilemma of having a live program unedited. So, recitation again. How do we fix this one? So perhaps let's try to remove our flag, and then let's set it while true, and let's try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, N. There you go. Our last value is 5, and then when we quit, it's 5, whereas in this one it's 5 and then it's 6. So last value is 5, but then the last value, or the last one to run the iteration is 5, but when we quit it's 6, but in here 5 and 5. Okay, let me get it back. Undo. Let's try it again one more time. 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's still the same effect. So 5 and 5, unlike in here 5 and 6. So basically, what happens is that the break statement takes effect, that after you've selected or press N, after the user press N, this one will not be implemented, or this one will not be run. So it immediately get out of the loop and then print the current num, which is 5, and then quitting. I hope that settles it. Okay, so the idea is that you can use either flag or you can use variable. Whatever the case may be, there will be cases wherein or instances or scenarios wherein flag is better used as compared to variable. But then again, you'll have to decide. Okay? So moving on, we are now going to discuss the continuous statement as what we have discussed before. I believe we have done discussing the continuous statement, but then again, let's have an example of the continuous statement on a while loop. So as you can recall, when we put out the break statement, the loop was ended, or immediately the loop basically terminated, and then you ended the loop, and then everything is put off to stop. Whereas for the continuous statement, when you want the loop to be run on the top again, so instead of finishing it or going to the bottom, you want to run on the top of the loop, then you must use the continuous statement. So let's have an example. Num is equal to 10 while num is greater than 0, which in this particular case is true. Let's decrement num and let's test if num modulo or mod 4 is equal to 0, then we have to execute continue and then print current variable value colon plus string num, then print all done. So let's take a closer look. We've initialized our value or our variable at 10. Is 10 greater than 0? Yes, of course. Then we decrement 10. Is the value of the num modulo 4 or mod 4 is equal to 0? If it is, then we are going to continue, which means we do not run this one, but we go back to the top of the loop. And then until such time that we're done. Okay? Which is what? When our num is until 1, because when our num hits 0, remember we always decrement. When our num hits 0, so 0 is less or greater than 0, that will give us a false statement, and then we're going to execute or exit our loop. So let's test this one. There you go. You have current value is 9 because 10 decrement, your num will become now 9. Is 9 mod 4 give us 0? No. So continue. No, sorry. No. So we are going to print the current value, which is 9. And then we run again the loop. 9 minus 1 will give us 8. Is 8 mod 4 equals 0? Yes. As you can see, nothing happens when our value is equal to 8. So why? Because we selected or we've executed continue. So we just simply go back to the top of the loop. We do not execute this. So we do not have an output for 8. So 7, 6, 5. And then when our num hits 4, 4 mod 4 is equal to 0 again. That is a perfect example. So we're going to hit continue again. And then go back again on top of the loop. And then 3, 2, 1. So that's it. That's for the continuous statement. And for our next topic, which is more with while loops. So we have our last topic, or second to the last topic, more with while loops and then nested while loops. For our more with while loops, we can use the while loops in conjunction with our dictionaries. If your dictionary is not empty, then it will always be evaluated to true, but otherwise, if your dictionary is empty, then it will be evaluated to false. So how are we going to do that? Let's say we have names, dictionaries, and then we're going to print names. When we run this one, we are going to have the dictionary as an empty, right? But if we're going to check the boolean value of the names, as you can see, it will give me a false value or false output. Why? Because my dictionary has a value or an empty value. Okay? But if I have to append my name in there, print names, ang ingay ng GC, print bool, and then names, what will be the output for this particular line of code? This will execute or output my name, which is Ryan, because we have appended Ryan on our dictionary. And then if we are to print the boolean value of my dictionary, since we have appended Ryan, then it is not an empty dictionary anymore. So that will be evaluated to true, I believe. So let's try to run this one. There you go. So for this first one, since our dictionary is empty, so we're going to print the dictionary. It's an empty dictionary. But if we're going to print the boolean value of our dictionary, it will be evaluated to false, because again, our dictionary is empty. But on the other hand, when we append Ryan to our dictionary and we print the names, or we print our dictionary, since Ryan was appended, then we have Ryan in here. And then the boolean value of our dictionary will be evaluated to true. Simple as that. Let me have another example. Print 0 and then print bool 0. What will be the output of this one? For the first instance, we are going to print 0, the value of the 0. And then for the second example, since our value is 0, and then when we try to get the boolean value of that, logically, it will give us a false value. But if we try to do this again, giving it a value of 1, this will now be evaluated to true. On the other hand, if you try this one to, let's say, 44, yeah, pretty much you're correct. The output will be true. So other than 0, the boolean value will be given to you. If the value is 0, then the boolean value will be false. But otherwise, 1 onwards, it will be evaluated to true. Simple as that. Okay? I hope that clears our particular discussion for our boolean value. Okay? Moving on, or for continuation, let's say that I have a large list of numbers. So I'm going to create a numbers is equal to a list, let's say a range of 1 to 10, yeah, 11, up to 11, but not do not include 11. So that will give me 1 to 10, value of 1 to 10. And then let's say we print numbers just to check. There you go. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then if we are going to implement it, let's say I want to remove everything one by one. While numbers, remember, my numbers is a list. So my list is not empty, so this will basically give me a value of true. Because if your list is empty, that will be evaluated to false. So while true, we have to do this one, numbers.pop, and then print numbers, and print all elements removed. Now, as you may notice, we do not decrement, we do not do something plus minus or minus equals before we ended our loop. The idea is, since our list is, let's say, 1 to 10, we have a value of our list. Our list is not empty. So since it's not empty, the numbers in here evaluates to true. So when you pop this one and then you reiterate or run the loop, since your list is not empty, this will be always evaluated to true. And then afterwards, until such time, when your list is empty, meaning all the numbers have been popped, then your list will now be empty. So if your list is empty, then it will be evaluated to false, because when a list is empty, the boolean value will be false. So the idea is that while false, then you will have to get out of the loop. So let's try if we are going to get what we wanted here. What I wanted here is that the first line should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because you pop 10, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 until my list is empty, or let's say I have an empty list and then the message all elements removed. There you go. So that's it, I guess. And moving on, what if we have this list, numbers equals, let's say 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 6, 4, 7, 4, 8, 4, 9. And what we want to do is we want to remove 4 in the list. How are we going to do this one? While 4 in numbers, so we are going to check if 4 is in numbers on our list, then numbers dot remove 4, then print numbers, and until such time that we have all 4s removed. There you go. So first line, the 4 is eliminated or removed, and then next iteration, this 4 is removed, then this 4, this 4, this 4, this 4, this 4. So all 4s removed. And for our last topic will be nested while loops. So we're going to have 2 loops or 2 inner loops using while statement. So I'm going to use 2 flag. So flag 1 is equal to true. Flag 2 is equal to true also. And while flag 1 print while loop number 1 is running, then I am going to nest my while loop 2 or flag 2. So while flag 2 colon print, since I'm inside the flag 2, I'm going to print while loop number 2 is running, and choice is equal to input. I'm going to ask my user if he wants or she wants to continue running while loop number 2. It's answerable by a yes or no question, colon. If choice that lower is not equal to or is equal to yes, no, sorry, I am going to try this one, not equal to y, meaning if the user press any key other than y, for example n, colon, sorry, again and again, flag 2 equals false, and we're going to print ending while loop number 2. And then I'm going to go out of my flag 2, choice equals input. Continue running while loop number 1, answerable again by yes or no, colon. If choice dot lower again is not equal to y, flag 1 equals false, and let's print ending while loop number 1. Let's try it. Oh my goodness. Line 6. Oh, sorry. It should be in here. My apologies. Hopefully this one settles it. There you go. Continue running while loop. Yes. Number 2. Yes. Yes again. So as you can see, it's inside the loop number 2. But if I press N, then it will be terminated, or loop number 2 will be terminated, and then we are now being asked if we want to continue to run while loop number 1. Again, yes, yes. If you press N, and then ending while loop number 1. So I guess that's it, guys. These examples, these code examples will hopefully gives you an advantage on doing your code labs. So I'm going to do a separate video for our code lab exercises for this particular topic. I'm going to run it to show it to you running, and then of course you are going to submit it on the given directory, or let's say on the given Google Forms link. Okay, it will be uploaded on your respective LMS. But for those who are asking, will this file will be uploaded? Yes, I'm going to upload it, and I'm going to put it on the remarks of my YouTube channel or on this particular video, so that you can have an access to it. Okay, for those who are not my students, because if you are my student, you already have the copy for the source code for modules number 1 to 8. So I hope that settles it. And piyok pa. And if you do have any questions, don't forget to simply comment. If you have any suggestions, just comment it down. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, share. Okay? So maraming salamat po. Stay safe. See you again.